time to protection. Looking underneath, Carlson, pounding ahead. Bagent, roll out. To the open spot. Watch. So, kind of shows it's open and fast. Another nice finish here, just enough to set the defense in. Yeah, it's just, well, even if it falls east lined up on the near side as the outside receiver. Bagent runs it down. Tyson Bagent even shows improvement from last year. That's quick on a fade route from the slot.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live edition of BEARSKIFILM show here. We kicked it off by playing that Tyson Bagent video that's very new. I think it's from yesterday I made it. And just wanted to let everybody know, last year we had a really, really cool, surreal moment where, I had some people reach out to me saying, hey, did you know that Tyson Bagent was on a podcast watching BEARSKIFILM? And I checked it out. It was the Sevan Podcast. And yeah, these guys, I believe they know Tyson Bagent's dad somehow, I think. But they seem to be more oriented health and fitness type of podcast and really big on YouTube, really big channel. And yeah, they had Tyson on there and they loaded up some BEARSKIFILM highlights and talked about it with him. So, I reached out to him and just kind of emailed them that clip as a thank you for last year. And they let me know that they're going to have Tyson on with them on their podcast Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. Guys, the link is in the description. Go and check it out because they will be playing that exact clip for Tyson and talking about it with him. So, yeah, we were super excited to hear that. And just a big thank you to those guys in general. So, yeah, we just kind of wanted to kick the show off with that. And, yeah, I know last time we talked, David, we had some pretty nice things to say about Tyson. We both feel as far as QB2, as far as what his expectations are and everything like that, he's really kind of in the perfect position for, where he's at in his NFL career.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of the same sentiment overall in the, Bears little Twitter sphere that we surround ourselves in as well. So I think that's kind of a good sentiment to have. And I think for the first time in a really long time, I don't feel super scared about my backup quarterback coming in for 4 or 5 games. If Caleb Williams, God forbid, twists an ankle or something, not too serious. I had him as my preseason MVP. I know you put a clip together of that. Put it on the channel again too, of me just going back to my preseason MVP. And I thought he was really good. And there's always just been something about that guy that I've always really liked as a player. And I think there's at least 5-10 teams that if they really were honest, they'd probably give Bears like a 5th or a 6th round pick for that guy, if not better. And he'd probably start on like 3 teams right now. I can think of at least like maybe the Raiders or like the Saints or something like that, like teams that are Giants. Just throwing out quarterback. Yeah, Giants, I think. Right. He'd probably be a starter on at least 5 teams, in my opinion, but I'm just a big Tyson Bagent fan. So, yeah, I hope, God, it'd be like the coolest thing ever if like he saw that and we reached out and he would ever show up on our show. That'd be like highlight of my year for sure.
Definitely. So. And, and we've gotten some really nice comments on that video too. People saying, hey, I wouldn't let him go. I'd keep him. Why would you let him go? Well, the Raiders should be calling the Bears, but the Bears should be hanging right up on them. And I was like, yeah, so I think the fan base kind of has a good idea that, the quarterback 2 position, we've had some seasons where that's come into play and been pretty critical. And Tyson's shown he could keep this thing afloat. So, yeah, why not stick it out with him, right? So
I think on average in the NFL last year, there was like 68 starting quarterbacks throughout the season, which is crazy because when you think about it, that means it's at least like 2 per team or something like that. I might be making a
number. You're right. It was in the 60s, I believe.
It was in the 60s or something like that. But, Tyson Bagent for Max Crosby, I think that's fair. So let's just.
I think we'd be stealing Max Crosby away, but then again, you have to pay Max, right?
No, he's already being paid, but we can afford him.
Yeah, dude. No, that guy's premier. Like, I think he's
Oh yeah, that guy's
that
maybe
would be
the
a
best
steal.
top 3 defensive ends in the league for me, probably.
So, I wanted to kind of the first topic here. I felt some kind of way this week, and in the past we've had some kind of like unpopular thoughts and popular opinions. I know everybody's a fan of the team. I know everybody wants everybody to do great and this and that, but like pretty early on, we were looking at Chase Claypool going, well, wait, we saw 7 games of this. Now we had a terrible offseason from him, a poor camp from him. And like, I think it was after game 1, we were just like, man, no, like, I don't want Chase Claypool anymore,
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel that way about Nate Davis personally. Now, listen, I know Nate Davis. It's weird because it's like we gave up a draft pick for Chase Claypool, but we paid Nate Davis. We still are in financially on him. I know he's had a Pro Bowl season. I know he's shown up in the regular season, and I'll do the same thing I did with Chase Claypool, right? Like, if you show up and play well in the regular season, I will shut my mouth and admit I'm wrong, right? However, my gut feeling, it feels like the Chase Claypool thing to me all over again. And I know this Bears team kind of has just a little tendency of trying to hold on to these mistakes for a little too long. But I look at that preseason game, right? And there was on the third drive, there was a 2nd down and 3 where Nate Davis just couldn't pull and get his block, and Khalil Herbert paid the price for it. Just got labeled at the line of scrimmage. People will show you the stat line for Caleb Williams. There's that 1 sack in there. You watch that sack, that's Nate Davis. I mean, it was bad. You know what I mean? So,
And do you know who got the sack, by the way?
no, who?
A guy that we really wanted. Remember Chris Jenkins Jr., Chris Jenkins' son from the Panthers?
Yes.
Rookie Chris Jenkins. Yeah, I think he was like drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round. Anyway, but
yeah, so I mean, I have a good idea of how you feel about Nate Davis, but I just wanted to get this out there because I'm sick of this guy. Like, everything's going so good. Everybody's so hyped. Everybody's confident that this is going in the right direction, this and that. And then you have this guy. Constantly an issue with practicing, right? Constantly little injuries popping up here and there. You go back to last year and people are like, okay, well, personal issues, you can excuse it, this and that. Yes, you can make excuses for guys, but it's just like, when does it stop then? Because if there's just issue after issue after issue after issue after issue, then at some point it all kind of molds together into one big problem. You know what I mean? And yeah, I'm not feeling good about Nate Davis here.
Yeah, I mean, I could go off. So like, for you to be so emotionally on this one, I kind of feel like if I was to go emotional with you, my general opinion is just like, fuck that guy. Because me and you at the end of the day are just like really dumb fans who look at this game and we're like, you get to play a game for money, and not just money. Like, you're getting paid $10 million a year. Your entire job is to stay in shape. And like, you have chefs and weight rooms and massage therapists like for free. And like, your entire job is to stay in shape, show up, and play a game. So like, seriously, personal level, fuck that guy. Like, it's your only job and you're getting paid buku bucks for it. Like, so now, like, to calm myself down, because truly fuck that guy. He really fucked the team over this offseason, if we're really being honest. Like, in terms of the structure and like how this team is being put together, the weakest link by far, and it's kind of fucking with the rest of the team, is Nate Davis, because Ryan Bates was brought in to be center. Now Ryan Bates is forced to be right guard. And now Coleman Shelton, who was supposed to be a backup, is now the starter. Now Nate Davis is the back. Like, it's like he's putting this whole team in a bullshit situation. And because he's getting paid so much, and legitimately, like, on his best days, he's still probably one of the best 2 guards on this team, right? Like, top 3 at least. He's really like putting you in a shitty situation to where you have a rookie quarterback. You need him to have continuity on an offensive line. Like, that's why we were talking about how this team might offensively get off to a slow start, because there's so little continuity on this offense. Half the receivers are different. The tight end is the only thing that's like the same, but the backup tight end, the running back's different. The entire interior offensive line is going to be different now, because instead of just shuffling Coleman or Lucas Patrick for Ryan Bates, now you're replacing 2 or 3 guys. So it sucks. On a calm, like, rational level, I guess, where I stand on Nate Davis is, you go back last year, we kind of I think everybody gave him the pass. And whenever we were saying stuff, because me and you were a little bit more speculative, and it was our first real like full year of Bearski stuff. We were really speculative. We were like, we don't know what's going on with this guy. And everybody just kind of told us like, hey, we don't comment on the rumors. Maybe he had a death in the family and all that stuff. Maybe. But I mean, it's all the same now. I mean, unless somebody has family members dying every training camp. Coincidentally, I don't know what to say for that. But that, and then I mean, now it's just the unavailability of it. I'm glad that the team, it does seem like even Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus, there you can read between the lines because this is a super professional organization at this point. You can tell because they all supported Justin Fields, they all supported Chase Claypool. They're going to support their guys because they're just like a professional organization in that way. But I think they're being pretty transparent, reading between the lines. They kind of feel the same way. They're kind of like, fuck that guy. Because even Matt Eberflus is the one. It's game day because you get game checks.
And listen, and that's fine. Like I said, if he shows up on game day,
yeah,
I don't care about practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw that last preseason game. It looks like Nate Davis needs some practice.
Yeah, I think they all do. I think he needs to be there, and like I said, I think you're reading between the lines. I saw an interview with Ryan Poles talking about Nate Davis. And he was talking about how some bad luck here and there, but really it's all about like making yourself. The phrase I keep hearing is that you're there for your team, which kind of implies that like you're making stuff up to kind of avoid being there for like your brothers. When you have like a young football team, it's this like brotherhood kind of feeling, and that's what's really nice about this one. Once you get really, really good, and like there's that whole like professional organization like the Patriots or like the Chiefs, right? Like plug and play guys. Right now, the Bears are in that like honeymoon period where all the guys are young and they're energetic and it's that brotherhood stuff, and they're just like, yo, be here for your fucking team, and he just won't do it. So that I think that implies that there's more to this than him just being injured. I think there's an effort thing. I think that's why we feel so personally like fuck that guy, because it feels, and if you're reading between the lines, it's a Nate Davis effort problem. It's a Nate Davis not wanting to do it. Right. So that's why, like, I think when you sent me this comment, your initial thing was topic number 1, fuck Nate Davis. And I agree. Fuck Nate Davis.
Yeah. And you know what? And just like we said with Claypool, listen, we're fans. So we have high expectations for the guys on our team, right? From their point of view, Nate Davis might be totally, totally happy and successful with his life. He had a good college career. He made it onto the NFL. He got paid. He's got money. He might just not care enough. That's the thing. It's like, it's hard. It's really hard to keep going in this league. A lot of guys don't last very long. And it's like that motivation has to come from within. And if it's not there, it's just not there. Guys will fizzle away and guys will go away. And they'll be perfectly happy in their personal lives, but we as fans, like I said, we want more. We want the best from our guys, from all of our guys, and we hold them to a very high standard.
I think, like you said, this just reeks of Chase Claypool. And the only reason I would say that Ryan Poles is like makes sense to not let go of Nate Davis. At the end of the day, he is a professional football player, and you are locked into paying him that money no matter what. You may as well keep him on the roster as a backup. He's going to be an expensive backup, and it's going to feel dumb, but it does make sense to not just let him go and bring in another guy if he's not going to be better. And I mean, at this point, I don't know if you know about this, but we have like a right guard on the roster named Bill Murray. I just want Bill Murray to be like on the team and fuck Nate Davis. So
yeah, when I first heard about that guy, you have no idea how confused I was.
Me too. I thought it was a prank.
I thought he's in the stands watching. No. Yeah, I thought it was a prank, right? Dude, so, we never get too high, too low on preseason. I know even like last year we were talking about, Justin's performance. We're like, listen, if he goes out there and he does bad, whatever. If he goes out there and does great, whatever. It's preseason, right? And he went out there and had like, 100 yards on like 3 throws that screen to DJ Moore. And we came back and we're like, okay, whatever. Like it's preseason. I've always kind of been that way throughout my entire fandom as a Bears fan. And for some reason, there's a little tickle inside right now. I don't want to like come out and hype it up. But man, you look at this kid, and it's just like, okay, so you wonder if these skills from college will translate to the NFL, right? Like I said, preseason, whatever, against 2s and 3s, but it's not against college anymore. And he's just out there looking the same, and the same is pretty. Like Caleb Williams seems like he is processing things very, very well. I'm so pumped to see this kid go out in week 1 and play. And like I said, I try not to put my chips too much all in on the preseason games, but it is hard not to be excited right now from my point of view, because I truly think that this kid's going to go out there and light it up. I really do. I know there's always a chance of failure in this and that. I'm trying to envision scenarios where it happens. I mean, injury is the only thing that I can think of that's going to stop this kid.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying you're super hyped up, and even then we talked about comparing stats and our predictions for his stats for the year, and I think mine shot up much more from seeing the preseason than yours did. So I mean, I'm going to be the measured one here and like kind of try to be logical about why I'm so excited, but I'm freaking out right now. Internally, I'm freaking out with like how excited this looks, because the reasons we've kind of reached these conclusions over the last few years talking about quarterbacks in the NFL, is that we've said this, that like the gap between college and pros for quarterbacks nowadays, it feels like it's getting smaller, right? Because college is more professional, and the pros, you basically just like transition, as opposed to like, it's a whole different game. Yeah, all the players are much better, but like you're playing the same kind of football nowadays more. So I think that was kind of indicative of his preseason so far, is that at least you see that what his style is, it's going to work. So that's the positive that you saw. The other positives that I think you can kind of gain from freaking out about it is that, I think we talked about this in the sense of like, man, he so far the worst part of Caleb Williams in the preseason is that he doesn't like hit the timing perfectly yet, right? It's like that in rhythm, in routine, like system type quarterback stuff. Like, but that makes perfect sense. Why the hell would he be a perfect system quarterback? He's been in this system for 4 months. It would make no sense for him to look sharp and, neat and like he knows the playbook like the back of his hand. And even then he's doing it pretty damn well. So at least it just, the reasons to be excited is because you didn't see anything like that was a miracle. It's things that will translate from a preseason game into regular season games. It's kind of the same way, like you said, we saw that screen from DJ Moore and it worked. That was like almost like in retrospect, it's like, horizontal passing all year round. And then it was Luke Getsy, like just being like, look, man, my first screen worked for a touchdown. They're gonna keep working. And then it's still like week 17 against like the Vikings. And I don't know if you remember that game. We just threw like 9 bubble screens that game. And we just fucking for like negative 100 yards or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think the reason to be excited is because like we saw what he could do, and it looks legitimate and it looks transferable. And so just like extrapolate what he did in this game over like 17, 18 games, if he's healthy, man, like we're going to do our predictions later, like statistically, but mine shot up after seeing these games. Mine shot up like a lot, like 20%.
And it's crazy. It's, I guess if I had to, when I think about it and I try and rationalize it, I guess what I kind of come to a conclusion with all this is, I think, with Justin, I always thought the ceiling was so high. His potential could be so high. But then I was like, but the floor seems a bit too low. Like when it's bad, it's really bad.
It was like 80 yards a game low.
I think the floor with Caleb is really high. Yeah. Like not only is the potential really high, but I think the floor, the base, like the worst you're going to get from him is still going to be really pretty damn good compared to what we're used to here in Chicago. And that's why I'm excited, because it's like, man, I don't want to see those games anymore where like we struggle to get a first down for an entire half. I know in our conversations, we were talking about, sack numbers and this and that. And you said something that kind of stuck with me. You're like, dude, there's just some quarterbacks out there that won't allow getting sacked. Mm-hmm. I mean, they all do, right? They all still get sacked. Like you can't help it. But like Tom Brady, if the left tackle gives up his pressure, throw the ball at the ground. Done. Next play. Like, you get a certain floor from some guys that's very beneficial overall to the football team and to the game that they're playing. And that's what I'm kind of seeing from Caleb and feeling a little bit that like, man, this kid at minimum is going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think you're getting like the hints of him being like a psycho in the best way that we always love, right? Like I watched a Joe Burrow interview the other day, and he was like, I don't want to allow my family to sit next to me for 48 hours before a game day. And he was like, why? Like, I have only
I'm a different Joe.
Yeah, I'm a different Joe. I have a certain amount of mental energy to expend in those 48 hours, and I'm not going to be pleasant to be around. So like that made me respect Joe Burrow. I'm like, dude, you're psychotic in like the best way. That's awesome. Like you focus, you're focused, you're locked in. And then even Caleb blamed himself for that one sack that obviously probably wasn't really his fault. It might've been a bit of his fault, but like, even then he blamed him on himself. And then he said basically how he could fix the problem. And then, yeah, like, I don't know. I just, like you said, they'll accidentally walk into more points this season than I think they like bang their head in against a wall last season. Like even on their best days when like Washington and Denver, and I don't even remember what other great games we had, but like, I think those had to be like the perfect storm. I think the perfect storm this year is going to be like 6 games. And then even on accident in the bad games, they'll have like 15, 20 points. Like I think they're just going to, I think the team is just built too well to flop as hard as even last year's could have.
Well, just to feed my hype, let's take a look at some of those really good plays from this last preseason game from Caleb Williams.
Williams, a deeper drop this time. All that, but if he can set his feet just a little bit more, he had enough time. Nice job avoiding here. Evades the pressure, stepping up, off platform. He does this so well, he typically makes the first guy miss. Now steps up. Now just set your feet and gather. Position here from the 48. He's looking downfield. How he just bails out of the pocket here. This is the toughest throw. Nothing there. Spins away. Throws. Throw to your left. Away from the arm side, right? And he does it. It is caught! Looking off platform. Away from the arm side. Great job to improv yet again by Williams. The local product. Improv with those feet. Keep the play alive! Yep, out of bounds, clearly. Williams, pressure coming, he felt it. Look at the front side, steps up, feels it, like it said, bails out. So, he made it, still, it's also 2 backside guys, he's like, yeah, okay. Williams is going to take off for the end zone! Now he turns the corner. This is what he does. He can create.
I think, well, if I was a quarterback and I rushed out onto the edge and the end zone's right in front of me, there is nobody else I would love to have in front of me than Tevin Jenkins leading the way. I would be confident myself. I'm about to run this thing in because that guy will maul somebody for you. I love that he was right in front of him at that last play and just kind of ran right there with him in the end zone. I thought that was really, really nice. Yeah. That's what I mean. I'm hyped, man.
I mean, even in the preseason games, like even that little like stutter step juke that he like stopped after a full sprint and then sprinted again. It's that stuff that we always say we like about other quarterbacks where they're not reacting to the defense. They're making the defense react to them. Like they're fucking with people. He's messing with people's heads. He's putting them, he's like, he's manipulating things out there that he wants to be done, not the other way around. And that's what we've never seen that yet.
No, and especially not this early on. And that's like when we talk about Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes said it himself. He didn't know how to read a defense in his first year.
I'm so scared to get so excited, man, because it looks so good.
That's the thing. It's that PTSD. That is the literally only thing that's stopping me from being thrilled. Like,
are you kidding? If he was on like the Patriots right now, or if he was a Washington Redskins Commanders quarterback right now, like the hype train would be out of control for these fans. They'd just be like, no, dude, we're winning the Super Bowl this year. We're all just like, hold on, let's wait a minute before we get excited. I can't handle more. I can't do it again.
We may butcher this again somehow. So, yeah, Windy City end zone. Shout out to them. We are affiliated with them. It's a great website. A lot of stories on their writer. They have a lot of good writers and things like that. And they have a whole media section with nothing but Bearski film videos. So yeah, love Windy City End Zone and Shane, the guy who runs it. Appreciate them a ton. Man. So
before you go to our third topic, I don't know. Did you see that the Bears are not playing starters this Thursday yet?
I did, yes. And it's this Thursday, and then that's it, guys. Then that's week 1 of the regular season. I mean, we're a couple weeks away, but this is the last thing. And so, yeah, I did see that though. And what do you think of that? I had kind of back and forth thoughts. I mean, typically you don't play your starters in the last preseason game, though, right? So,
yeah, I think right now the Bears are one of the luckiest injury teams. Also, I would say, like, they are getting out of this. Like Kyler Gordon and forget who else just came back. Jaquan Brisker's on almost there.
Patrick Scales is like the only
guy. Those are like your 3 biggest injuries right now, and you're doing okay without them. And I think maybe don't push your luck on your starters getting hurt. Like either way, obviously your depth guys might get hurt playing so much of this game, some important depth pieces. But I guess my thing is that, like you said, it's the last game, but it's still 2 weeks away from this upcoming Sunday. It's after Labor Day. Don't get me started on the whole Labor Day thing. Like the NFL needs to start Labor Day weekend. Why have we not done this yet? I don't understand.
Every year.
I say it makes me so mad that I have to go to I have work off on Monday and it's not the first weekend of the NFL. Why wouldn't you have done this by now? It's absolutely makes no sense. It pisses me off every year.
Yeah, it almost feels like they're giving everybody who doesn't like football a chance to have one less good time.
Yeah, here's your enjoy your family and
right, all that stuff.
Fresh air,
and barbecue, and
go be outside and shit. Like, shut up. No, let me sit on my couch for 4 hours.
It'd be great if we had football that weekend for sure.
It'd be amazing. Yeah, I think it's a good idea, I guess. And like they've reached their snap limit. And I saw a tweet from Greg Braggs today. Shout out Greg Braggs. I would love to have him on if he ever sees this.
I made sure I hunted him down at the training camp, gave him a handshake.
Cool.
What's up? So yeah,
nice.
Greg's a good dude, man.
Yeah, hope he comes on with us one of these days. But he put out that like the practice was so chippy today that they're just like getting sick of each other and that they were just fighting and every other play was a fight. So I think it's just a good, they started training camp early, so they need to stop it early. I think I don't have any issue with it. I don't know. Do you have any opinion on it?
Yeah, like they kind of kept the starters a little later than we thought last week, right? Like they let them play all the way through half. So, and I think that was the idea behind it. And the other thing I noticed is that, the backups on this team, they've been playing some pretty damn good football, right? Like we have a lot of effort from a lot of guys on the back end. And typically, I mean, that's really the main goal of preseason is to kind of figure out the back end of your roster. And I think for the first time in a long time, I'm sitting there and I'm kind of wondering who's going to get cut. Like who's going to get cut? It's been so obvious in the past because the talent level was so thin, right? So it's like, no, we need this guy, we need this guy, we need this guy. There's 1 or 2 spots, right? Now we're looking at it and it's like, well, how many wide receivers do we keep? How many tight ends do we keep? Wait a second, this running back's showing up. You know what I mean?
I think even there's going to be like a cornerback that we're going to like feel bad for, or there's some linebackers that I don't even know. Is Noah Sewell still on the team? Is he healthy?
Yeah, I mean they just drafted him not too long ago.
Yeah,
so.
they played him last year. So I'm wondering like where's Noah Sewell? But then Ayo Bongbamiga or something like that. Like I love that guy. He's playing amazing. Daniel Hardy's been playing awesome. Like there's going to be like you said, there's always like 1 or 2 guys every year. You're like, oh, that's an unfortunate cut, but then they never get picked up by a different team or, like you're thinking of like the Travis Gibsons of the world, right? Like where you're like, oh man, Travis Gibson was so good. What happened? And then he went to Tennessee and did absolutely nothing. This year, I feel like there's going to be like 3 or 4 guys that it's going to hurt a little. You're going to see like Josh Blackwell or like Greg Stroman or, Colin Johnson's going to suck.
Yeah.
Like cutting that guy or, some of these linebackers.
Give Colin Johnson some credit. When Sean from Windy City End Zone took me to training camp, and a big thanks to Evie for giving us those tickets and allowing us to go. we got there early, right? Like we made sure we were there on one of the first shuttles, right? As soon as I walked off the shuttle, Swift Sports was right there. Just like, hey. And so that was cool. He unblocked me on Twitter now, so that's cool. We actually got to shake hands, and he bought me a Gatorade. And so, it was nice seeing him in person and kind of catching up. But then we're walking on the field, and he told us, he's like, hey, those bleachers fill up pretty quick. If I were you guys, walk past all this stuff, just get there, grab a seat. You know what I mean? So we're like, okay, thanks for the heads up. And as we're walking on the field, there's one Bears player out there catching balls from the ball machine. It was number, what is it, 80, 81?
80,
Colin Johnson.
80, yeah, Colin Johnson.
Yeah, it was. And so I was just like, wow, that's
that one's like, I want that guy on the team. It's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope he makes it. That's why I'm saying this training camp might suck a little bit in terms of guys who get cut, because there's gonna be some guys that we really like, people personally like, that are gonna get cut. There's a lot of defensive linemen that we kind of need to keep and hope that they pan out.
But that's what I mean. Even though it sucks, it's a good thing. This is what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean?
That's what we've been talking about. Like, these preseason games, they don't ever really matter, but there are things about the team that you can learn about from preseason games. And right now it's like everybody's flying to the ball. Everybody's tackling. It's all 3 or 4 people gang tackling. It reminds me of Lovie Smith days, when you would see 6 guys pile onto the dude who has the ball. So it's good things, like you said, but it's going to be unfortunate when we see one of the 2 or 3 players that we really like get cut. So.
Yeah, I mean, it always is. But so,
that
kind of actually leads me into my next topic. So, we've seen Khalil Herbert out there the whole time. I know they're not going to put DeAndre Swift out there. Last year, Khalil Herbert was number 2 and Roschon Johnson was number 3, right? However, Khalil Herbert's getting closer and closer.
No, Khalil Herbert was number 1.
No, Donta Foreman.
No, it would have been Khalil
really?
And then Donta.
Okay.
Yeah, I think on the depth chart. It doesn't matter.
So what I meant was Khalil was on top.
Yeah,
Roschon was behind him, but Roschon was a rookie too, right? So this year we haven't seen Roschon Johnson out there, have we?
Not much, if at all.
No, and so is that because he's part of that 1 and 2 rotation? They're trying to figure out if they want to keep Herbert, because Herbert's kind of getting closer and closer to contract time. And there's one obvious flaw in his game. Listen, he's a good back and I like him. He's not about the pass block. Or if he is, he's not about to do it very well. So it takes a dimension away from the offense. And so what do you think about that whole dilemma, Roschon Herbert? And why do you think they've been playing Herbert more in the preseason?
I don't have that answer. I think if Roschon Johnson has already locked in his position, I don't really understand why. It might be similar to a draft pick situation. The fact that they spent a 3rd rounder on him, right? I think they got him in the 3rd round, 5th round,
3rd or 4th.
Okay.
4th, I believe.
If I recall, it's 3rd. Yeah. No, it might be a 5th. Is it a 5th round pick? I guess irrelevant, but justifying your draft picks is usually, part of the deal, which NFL teams do, and I don't really judge them for it, but I've never seen enough from Roschon Johnson, 4th round pick. And I've never really seen him enough, even from last year, to say man, I can't wait to see this guy as a 1-2 punch. I guess if there was something to why is it that, like you said, Khalil Herbert might not be as good of a pass blocker. Even as a rookie, we saw Roschon Johnson was a really good pass blocker. That might be really important to them. And I think maybe the skill set to DeAndre Swift is a little bit closer with Roschon Johnson than it is with Khalil Herbert. Because DeAndre Swift is a little bit more of the shifty, screen back, set a block, delayed block, and then go out for a screen, up and down runner. I think I think that's the only justification you could say. My personal feeling on it is that whenever I see Khalil Herbert touch the ball, that dude is a damn good running back, and he seems quick and explosive. The fact that the Bears last year went through, I think, 5 running backs, just should kind of scare them and hint towards just get as many of these guys' bodies on the roster as you can. And I have not, other than special teams, I don't think I've seen Travis Homer make a single play this preseason. So even that Tyson Bagent highlight you played at the beginning was Travis Homer dropping an easy touchdown through his hands. So if I had it my way, it would go DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson as the third. And really, there's no reason not to have 3 running backs in today's NFL, just kind of taking turns.
A lot of people like Ian Wheeler too, number 33. He's kind of shown up a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like that might be.
And then my follow-up question is also like, we
Yeah.
haven't seen Blasingame. Is there room for a fullback on this roster? Like, you got to make this cut somewhere. You know what I mean?
I think if you're rocking the 3 or 4 tight ends, just cut Blasingame. I mean, I like Kari Blasingame, but I don't think that he does anything extremely special to the point where you can't get rid of that guy. Fullbacks are fullbacks, but I mean, if you're gonna
practice squad, right? Like, who's
I
gonna
mean,
go out there
Gerald
and grab
Everett,
your fullback?
Cole Kmet, if he loses touches to Gerald Everett this year, I might get a little upset. Because at this point, I've seen through preseason, Cole Kmet looks faster, leaner, like he knows what he's doing better. And Gerald Everett looks like mediocre. So I don't know. And this is part of me is also watching too much JT O'Sullivan break down Caleb Williams and stuff like that. But
He was great. That guy does good work.
He does do good work. But the 2 things he's pointed out so far is that Keenan Allen and Gerald Everett look slow. Like both of them look like they're kind of coasting. And I don't know if it's them coming from California and like, I'm not talking about like geographically, but like coming from the Chargers and just kind of like, well, you know, easy breezy, loosey goosey, like a little bit more, you know, whatever. But guys, I mean, it's preseason.
Hard Knocks of Keenan Allen saying like, I don't have to listen to the coaches, like just making a joke to DJ Moore. It's just like, yeah, I had a kid my senior year of high school. He came from Florida. Like halfway through the year, this kid's running around punching lockers, doing whatever he wants. He's just fuck this place. You know what I mean? So
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but like, I mean, if you're gonna keep Mercedes Lewis, Gerald Everett, and Cole Kmet, like throw Mercedes Lewis and like rotate him into the fullback position. Do 3 tight ends, have him come down and block because he's a good blocker anyway. I don't know if you lose a roster spot for Khalil Herbert, for Kari Blasingame, or Travis Homer. We're talking about training camp cuts that are going to hurt. That one's not going to hurt. That one's going to piss me off because Khalil Herbert's going to go somewhere and be really good.
What about Velus Jones? What if they keep Velus Jones?
I'm okay with that just because he was going to stay on the team as a kick returner anyway. And then now if you get some value out of him as a running back and like a gadget wide receiver, I mean, regardless at this point, like he's probably the 5th or 6th best receiver on this roster right now. It's Tyler Scott.
DJ,
Keenan,
Rome. Right? Scott is the 4th then?
I would say he's like locked in at that 4.
So then what? You have
Pettis,
Velus,
Johnson,
Colin Johnson. You're not keeping 7, are you?
No, you're probably keeping 6.
One of those guys has to go. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
But again, as a returner, like you're not keeping DeAndre Carter just because he's a return guy, right? So at that point, I think that's maybe just part of the roster construction. I think that's a fun thought experiment. I'm going to do this pretty soon where I'm going to go through this roster and just kind of be like, who do we keep here?
Right. Because like I said, it's an interesting offseason for that. It really is. And I don't remember other off seasons being this filled with options.
Competitive is the word, but that's a good reason. It's a good word, right?
And it's pretty much the answer to your question. Like, that's why I don't mind just going out there running the backups in this next game.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, I'd like to see a lot more from some of these guys to be able to have a better idea and determination of who do I want to keep here and for what reason.
Oh, this last game, especially if it's all backups, this game is going to determine who gets cut here. This is the game that's deciding 53 through 60 right now. Or like 50 to 55. Like the guys in that area, they're gonna lock in their roster spots here from this game.
So when it comes to season predictions and whatnot, what we did last year is we gave some bold predictions on offense and on defense. And I wanted to ask you, do you have any this year? Do you want to go out there and make a bold prediction here or there?
Yeah, I think we can do that today. I mean, I don't know if you're ready for it. We could do like a whole episode on like record breakdowns and stuff like that. But I got a couple off the top of my head. I don't know about you.
Okay, why don't you go first? I mean, I kind of thought about it a little bit, but I can.
All right. So I got a defensive. Part of it is always like we kind of tied it to one player, right? So more so than anything else, I'm not going to say bold prediction is Bears defense is top 5. That's just corny and easy. So my bold prediction
There goes my thought. No.
My bold prediction is that you're going to have, I want to say 2 all-pros this season, but I'll stick with one, and it's going to be Kyler Gordon. I think Kyler Gordon is at least getting into a Pro Bowl. I think he might be a all-pro too.
Okay. I'm going to tell you that contrary to like my typical belief of defensive ends being drafted high that pan out and this and that, we have some examples of guys out there. My bold prediction is that Austin Booker is going to eat. And like we said, hey, 3 to 4 sacks from this kid would be positive. I'm going to go 8+ sacks for Austin Booker this year. Just
that would be sick.
I hope that one hits at the end of the year, and I'm like, yeah. You know
I've been watching the defense really like every time in the preseason. I always watch the defensive line, probably the closest of anybody, because it's like completions are completions, linebackers make tackles, but like you can really learn some stuff about defensive linemen even watching preseason. There's Montez Sweat is getting through every time. I don't understand. Like he has almost too much disrespect at this point. It's kind of weird. Like he's almost being like talked about. And I was a guy who hated the trade. So
in training camp, David, there was a play where Caleb rolled out to the right. It was kind of forced out of bounds by Montez Sweat. And so they were right there, and he just went chest to chest, face to face with him, screamed something at him, and then like turned around and laughed and like jumped away and just ran away. And you could see Sweat being like this little shit. You know what I mean? This was after, like a week after, there was that whole thing where Montez Sweat got, sat in camp for throwing Caleb to the ground or something. I loved seeing that little edge from the quarterback right there. That made me really happy.
But yeah, these preseason games, the defensive linemen that I've seen like just absolutely stand out. It's like when you go see who's pressuring the quarterback and you freeze frame it, there's always 2 numbers that stand out with the starters. And it's Montez Sweat and Gervon Dexter. And whenever I started watching those like second level guys, it's Daniel Hardy, man. I don't know I didn't really know anything about Daniel Hardy until this preseason, but I'm rooting for Daniel Hardy. And then it's Austin freaking Booker, man. That guy's got a motor. And you pointed it out to me that he looks small on the TV broadcast. But
when I
saw
went
to
to
training
live,
camp,
it was Sweat, Dexter, and Booker, just kind of like towering over everybody else. So I was like, whoa. Like I just didn't, like you said, from the TV and everything, like I just didn't realize how big this kid is. He's skinnier. He's a little skinnier. That could change. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
Oh man, but he's a physical specimen there.
The frame is there, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So defensive bold prediction for me: Kyler Gordon gets an All-Pro nod, All-Pro, second team All-Pro.
Yeah, mine is Austin Booker, 8+ sacks. Is one of the best rookie defensive ends this year. So we'll see.
Do I go first on offense, or should I go again?
Yes. Cole Kmet will have a career high year. And I think he's gonna show that he's worth every penny of that contract he signed. I think he's gonna have his best year yet, and like by far. He's been pretty consistent year to year with I believe about 10 yards per catch average. You know what I mean? I think touchdowns, he's gonna double digit 10. And I think we're talking about 900,
almost 1,000 yards.
Yeah, almost 1,000 yards from Cole Kmet this year.
That would be a sick one. Offensive bold prediction. This can go into my Caleb Williams stat line prediction, and I'm gonna finally narrowed it in. And I think we had a little bit more reserved ones at the beginning, just kind of seeing. After seeing it, I have my official Caleb Williams stat line prediction. I'm going to say it's 4,100 yards. I think we finally get our 4,000-yard passer. I think it's going to be 4,100 yards, 38 touchdowns, 15 interceptions.
Whoa.
Yeah.
High touchdowns there. So let me just put that in perspective.
I wanted to say 33
let me
at first, but I went up with 38.
The Bears' all-time passing record is 38-38 by Eric Kramer. As far as rookies go, I believe it's like 21-92 or 22-92 from Mitch Trubisky. All-time Bears passing touchdown record is 30. And from rookies, it's 11. So you're saying all those numbers get crushed and replaced with Caleb Williams.
Yeah. I mean, from what I've seen and what I hear about his demeanor and everything, I just don't think it's too big for him. I don't think this necessarily translates into like playoff deep run this year. I think it'll probably get you into the playoffs. But I think it's going to translate really hard into a pretty good season.
Listen, my cousin Billy, right? Billy Adi, shout out to him. He's got the United Flag Football League. He does good stuff with them. He's one of these guys that's his glass is always half empty. Okay. So he's always just full of criticisms, full of this team fucking sucks. This organization sucks. This all sucks. We're not that bad. We're more in the middle, realistic. We're not afraid to sit there and point out negatives and point out positives. We don't get too high, too low, really.
We're still cheering every Sunday.
Yeah. You know, like last year, I talked to Billy. He's like, this team sucks. I was like, okay. I went on a podcast. I'm not going to throw him under the bus. Predictions, they're like 11-6. I'm just like, oh. I was like, Vegas has them at 6.5, guys. Like, half that. Like, you might be a little too high. And same thing with us. We're always pretty well reserved. Talked to Billy yesterday. Like, what's your prediction? He goes 11-6. Whoa. Whoa. And so, same thing here. It's like, it almost feels too easy to predict 10 wins. And so, like, I want to feel like it's a trap, right? However, the schedule is set up very favorably for us, especially with all the division games being at the back end, allowing this team to have time during the season, during the first 8 games, to be able to gel as an offense without it being, too critical of games. And yeah, it's interesting because now it's like, if I go on that podcast and they're predicting 11-6, I'm just like, okay. I'm not no longer saying, hey, no, chill out. I'm saying, man, that's reachable. That's achievable. And so I think even the most reserved fans, even guys like us too, are starting to realize, like, no, like this is a great opportunity here to be able to put a lot of W's together, to start a rookie quarterback on the right path, to do this thing right. We've always tried to do it this way. It's never really come up. This is the best spot a Chicago Bears team has been in. I mean, in the last, I don't know, like since 2006, I guess. Like it's really good. The Jay Cutler thing was hype, and that was still fun. But I mean, that defense was aging. Like, this is all, like you said, there's a huge honeymoon phase here. And this is a good football team right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think even us being realistic, right? Like, where do we see the negatives is that we learned this from last year. Like, the defense needed a lot of time to gel, and a lot of us were just really impatient because we were like, oh, they paid for TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds, and they drafted Tyreek. And it's like, dude, we're all acting like Tyreek is this amazing second-year lockdown corner. He's second year. It was his rookie year last year. This is Kyler Gordon's third year. It was funny. I was playing Madden. Unfortunately, I'm cursed by playing Madden every year because I just can't help myself.
Not me. I'm free.
No, I know. I wish. Let's bring back 2K, please. Like 2K
please,
football, please.
I'd be right back on it. I'll buy a PS6, whatever the hell they come out with.
By the time it comes out, I know. I'm just a glutton of punishment, and it's my drug. I acknowledge it every year, but I was just going through the roster and, like, do you understand that Tyreek, Jalen Johnson, Kyler, Jaquan Brisker, like Tremaine Edmonds, and I want to say Javon Dexter are all within 1 or 2 years of age apart. They're all within their 23 to 25-year-old season. It's insane.
I think when we went to training camp, they gave us the sheet, and the sheet had all the numbers, player names. It had all their birthdays. I think Jaquan Brisker and Jalen Johnson like a day apart.
Yeah, they're like shot. This is a young, good team, and that's why we learned a little bit about being realistic and everything from last year, like we said, with the defense, because all these new names and stuff, but it took them a while. The defense looked like shit for 8 to 9 weeks, and then Montez Sweat helped tremendously. I think this year, if the offense isn't good, but they still beat the Titans like 20-17, I'm not freaking out. It's week 1 of Keenan Allen and Roma Dunze and a rookie quarterback and Gerald Everett and 2 new linemen and a new running back. Like, I'm not freaking out, but just get the early wins. Go 500 in the first 4 games. If you start off 1-3 or 0-4 like last year, me and you were both going to say like we're still going to be excited for the year after, but that season is fucked because you can't just start 0-4 and like expect to go to the playoffs. Like,
can't shoot yourself in the foot again, dude. Matt Eberflus, it's going to fall on him if that happens. Yeah. But what you just said made me so happy. It made me so happy because it's like I have nostalgia now. I had a flashback to Lovey being like 4 games at a time.
Yeah.
4
game chunks.
Yes. This
4
again.
games.
This is nice.
4 games.
Yeah.
4 times 4 is 16. That's a 16-game season. You just got to win the quarters, and the football has 4 quarters
too. Dude, it's great, and I'm right there with you. We talked about a hot start. I think being important. I think it is very important. But you're right. At minimum, like we need to stay 500 for a good chunk of the season. Like if we're 3-3 in week 6, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? I don't want to be 2-4. I don't want to be 1-5 though. Like that's
okay. I think we have like 9 minutes left if we want to keep it to an hour. Are you willing to do a schedule breakdown prediction with this today?
Oh yeah. I have more than an hour if you do. I mean,
okay,
yes.
Yeah, I'm down. So I'm going to share my screen. So here we go. We got our season.
Oh man, this is interesting because like I had a number in my head picked out, but I hadn't really looked at the season and figured out how I get to that number
because we never did this. And I don't have this ready off the top of my head, and maybe you can find it. I want to go through our last year's prediction episode because we did this on an episode.
Oh yeah, we did.
Where we broke it down. I think we said 8 wins last year, 8 or 9.
Yeah,
no,
we were
7 or 8.
7 or 8, yeah.
And I think we nailed it. So
yeah, we did. So, all right. David, maybe I could find a little bit better graphic than this.
Go for it.
But yeah, why don't you start though? Why don't you start?
Okay. So I mean, I can zoom in as well if you want to do this. But if you got a better prediction game graphic, okay. Tennessee week 1. I think Tennessee has just as many moving parts. They lost Mike Vrabel. I think they're kind of licking their wounds. I think they're going to be one of the worst 5 teams in football. I think that's our first win, so 1-0. And this is coming from a guy who said we start like 0-1 because it was Packers. So I'm not scared to predict 0-1.
Give me another minute. Talk about that game. How do we get there? What do you think?
Will Levis is not. I don't know. Will Levis is a 50-50 guy in my head. I do like Will Levis, but I don't think he's the best rookie or second-year quarterback out of like the options that we're going to be facing pretty soon. Their receiving core is a bunch of 2s and 3s playing the number 1 wide receiver role. I think their starting running back now is Tony Pollard. Washed up Tony Pollard right now. They have some young tackles, which that might help them. So they might have a couple of things going on offense. And then on defense, they got L'Jarius Sneed. So that's a good upgrade. They'll probably lock down 1 receiver. But other than that, that defense is just Jeffrey Simmons and L'Jarius Sneed. Jeffrey Simmons might dominate a little bit, and he talked some mad shit already, if you remember that. But, oh, nice. Yeah, Jeffrey Simmons talked some shit. And I think on that note, it's going to be a little bit of a personal game, but I'm predicting the win. If I had to like give you a score, it's going to be like 26-20, 26-17 Bears.
Okay. Well, credit to the CHGO podcast for putting this nice little graphic together.
That's
that
awesome
I
graphic.
Quickly snagged from Google. Yeah, it's a great graphic, and CHGO does awesome work. Everybody knows that. So yeah, hats off to them. I also think, I mean, man, I can't do a week 1 loss. I cannot.
I just don't think it's also realistic. I said 0-1 with last year Packers and everything. I don't.
And like you said, it's a quarterback that's not proven. It's a team with a new head coach. Like they don't necessarily have their stuff worked out either. This one's up for grabs. We're taking it like
Mhm.
1-0 to start the week, right?
Yeah.
So I'll just open up a little notepad here on the side so I could just keep
Mhm.
track. And well, okay, what about week 2? Houston Texans.
I think we're both going to be on this one. I have Houston as one of my top 5 teams in the NFL. Even more so than offensively, I think CJ Stroud's going to have a little bit of a sophomore slump, I'll call it. Like I don't think he's going to just like elevate. One of my favorite people I listen to, Ben Solak, he's like, progression is not linear. It never is for anyone. It's not just always a straight line, always up. It's like there's ups and downs and flats and plateaus. I think CJ Stroud's going to have a little bit of a flattened out season. I don't think it's going to be like, I'm not saying he's going to get worse, but don't expect him to go like from 22 touchdowns to like 38. He might go to like 27, 27, 28 or something. But I think this team is stupid good. Joe Mixon's good. Offensive line's good. I think they're going to have a top 5 defense more than anything. I think this defense is going to be terrifying. And I think this is where like the Texans being a year ahead shows. And I think they kind of kick our ass a little bit. I'm going to say it's like 35-17 Texans. I think we take a big L on this one.
Yeah. I'm not trying to just copycat you here. I actually think the same exact thing though. It's like, that team their arrow is pointing up, right? So I think we're going to get smacked in the face a little bit. Do I think it's like a for sure loss? No, I think that could still be anybody's game in a way. However, I just don't feel good about it. I think the Texans wind up, taking that W there and continuing their arrow pointing up.
And I can already picture myself watching that game, like sitting there going like, this should be a loss, but if we're competitive, that's a positive. And if we win, it's even better. So I'm not like, and if we get our asses kicked, I don't freak out. I'm not going like, oh my God, this team sucks again. Like, no. This is one of those, like, if it happens, great. If not, that's okay too.
But then I do have them bouncing back against the Colts and getting a W there. I think the Colts are a very beatable team. I'm not saying we're going to sit there and walk all over them. However, last year, Anthony Richardson only made it a couple games, right? Mm-hmm. So I think there's still a lot of unknown there. And I think that's a good opportunity for us to get back on our feet and come away with a W in that game. What do you think?
I personally also don't understand this Anthony Richardson Pro Bowl MVP hype. Like, if you believe in Anthony Richardson to be an MVP, then you better believe that Justin Fields is going to be an MVP candidate.
I mean, I guess. That's a whole other discussion, but yeah.
Yeah, but those are like the same people who are like, Justin Fields sucks, but Anthony Richardson, wait for this guy. Like, you have no idea if Anthony Richardson's any good yet. Really, you don't.
Or if he's going to stay healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
so
far he's shown one thing. Like, one thing is that he's just hasn't been able to survive long, put himself in some bad situations. Everything else is unknown. So, yeah, that's why, like I said, that's why I think that's an opportunity to get a W. What do you think?
I'm with you. I think it's closer than we want to think. I also don't really think that the Colts are that good. For Shane Steichen's good. I like their coaching situation. But other than that, I mean, their defense is very mediocre. They've signed back most of their mediocre players. Kenny Moore, Grover Stewart. I mean, DeForest Buckner's still pretty good. But other than that, I can't really even tell you who the rest of their players are because they're not notable. I don't even know where Shaq Leonard is. I don't think he's even around anymore. That poor guy. And then on offense, Michael Pittman. I mean, that's it. Fred Taylor, or not Fred Taylor. I always think he's Fred Taylor.
Philadelphia Eagles for Shaq Leonard.
Yeah, I thought he got picked up. Who's their running back? I can't remember. He reminds me of Fred Taylor. That's why I always call him Fred Taylor.
The Eagles running back?
No. Colts.
Oh.
It's
like, yeah. God. He's a good running back, too.
No. Do you remember Fred Taylor from the Jaguars and the Patriots? He reminds me so much of Fred Taylor. I always call him Fred Taylor in accident. But yeah, they've got some weapons, I guess. Pittman, I mean, some rookies, some young guys, but
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor. So it's Fred Taylor and Jonathan Taylor. But yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna agree. It's a win. It's closer than we want to think, but yeah, I don't think we can start 0-3 or 1-2 against the AFC South. That's a shitty division.
So you started the first two. I'm gonna start, 3 and 4.
Yeah, go for it.
I still feel that the Rams, although they lost a lot of pieces, I think that's going to hurt them as far as, trying to win a Super Bowl and trying to win the playoff games. Still think they're a damn competitive regular season team. Sean McVay is no joke. Matt Stafford early on will still be healthy. I think we're going to sit there and, like Lovie Smith says, win me 2 out of 4. I think this will be our loss, and we're going to be 2-2 going into week 4. So I'm going to give an L in week 4 against the Rams.
I feel super differently about the Rams. I think the Rams are getting a top 5 pick in the NFL draft this season. I think that's one of the worst defenses in football. I think it's going to be a shootout more than anything. I agree with you 100% on the offense, because that's why I think the Rams, just because the Rams are going to have like 35 points, I think this will be a shootout. And I think the Bears, this is going to be the offensive game in the first 4 games that makes people freak out. You know how, like, if we watch the Texans whoop us and there's going to be the negative people like, oh my God, this team sucks. This is going to be the game that people need to like tone it down, because the Bears are going to score like 38, 40 points and everyone's going to freak out about it. And we're going to be like, yeah, pump the brakes here a little bit. I think this is a win.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't think the Rams are that good this year.
Well, go ahead and take 5 and 6. Start
3-1. 3-1.
3-1 for you.
I mean, this is just Carolina. I think Carolina probably gets the first overall pick. I think we're playing 3 teams that are probably in the top 5 of the NFL draft this season in those first 5 games. That's why I'm like super optimistic about the hot start. Carolina sucks. There's really not much else to say. I mean, it's Carolina. I think they're going to be better than they were last year, but that's hard not to be because they were an absolute shit show. It'll be closer than we want to think, but I still think this is like a 32-18 game. I think we win. We start 4-1.
I also think Carolina's terrible. I think we're going to have a very high second round pick from them in this next draft as well. I'm with you, man. I don't have many good things to say about Carolina. If they do pull out a win, I mean, it's just going to be one of those any given Sunday type of games, but I just don't envision it happening. And so, David, just to put this out there, you got them winning 3 games in a row at this point.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't happened in a while, right?
Not under Matt Eberflus.
Not under Matt Eberflus. So that would be a very, very, very exciting time to go into week 6 in London. What do you think happens there?
I think this is your loss. This is your nearby around that time loss to kind of. I think it's going to be a very exciting, like, early part of the season. You go into October getting super, super hyped and, oh my God, Super Bowl, Super Bears. And then the Jaguars kind of bring you back down to earth. I think the Jaguars are a super, like, 8-8 team every year. And then I think their spurts make them look like a 10-6 team. And I think we're going to play like a 10-6 Jaguars kind of team. And so I think it's going to be a Trevor Lawrence looks like a professional quarterback. Caleb Williams gets made look like a rookie a little bit. He can't just maintain it all the time. And I think this is where you get your second loss. So I got him at 4-2 through 6, losing to the Jaguars.
Interesting, because I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking you catch them at a bad spot with the whole London thing. The time difference. Like I said, I think that's really could be a toss-up game just because of that. I mean, they are, it's a completely different thing with jet lag and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Jaguars are not all that good. I think they're really relying on Trevor Lawrence, and I think if he's not able to sit there and, keep the ship not only afloat, but like moving forward, that there's going to be some pretty crappy losses on their record that they're going to look at. And I just I don't see the season going too great for them. Even though, I don't know, I'm just not very high on Trevor Lawrence. And I look at that quarterback class too, and it's like all the other quarterbacks have already failed their initial role except for him. And now he got paid. And now it's like, I don't know. I just feel that there's a lot riding on them. So I actually have them winning the third game, winning the second game in a row here in week 6 on my record, but we got the same record right now, right?
Mm-hmm. 4-2.
4-2.
The other thing about London, and it's one of your home games, which sucks. We never even looked at this, by the way. We didn't really talk about it. You play the Titans at home, you play the Rams at home, and then you're playing Carolina at home. So those are like even more reason for me that they're a little bit more relevant. And then 2 road games with Indy and Houston. That's why Indy, I think, would be a little bit more of a risky game, but it's so close. It's a dome. It's like favorable for the Bears, if anything. The thing with London, I think this is Jacksonville's 3rd year or 4th year in a row playing in London. They're kind of used to this as a franchise. So if there's any players there that have kind of done this, this is like they're like, yeah, we do this every year. It kind of sucks. Let's just like take care of business, go home. Like the Bears, there might be some like selfies at the London Tower, like Big Ben and like all that stuff. This is like a big deal for them, and it's the Bears. Knowing the McCaskies, they're going to send them there on like a coach flight or something like that with freaking like pretzels or something.
Make them pay for their additional
their own hotel. Yeah, exactly. Like knowing
right.
them, and the Bears are just gonna be like, this fucking
you
sucks.
only got to carry on, guys.
Yeah, guys,
come on. This.
Yeah, no family.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
You make a good point there, Dave.
So that's where I'm at.
I think we get a bye week. I think we reset, and this is where I have them winning the 3rd game of the season in my prediction, because I think it's going to happen for Eberflus this year. I do, and so I think they come out. We've played well against Washington in the past, and I'm not very high on Jade Daniels either. So I think we come out and get a W against Washington right there in October, right before Halloween. We've played them in that same spot a couple times now. Like, I mean, I was even at the game, I believe 2 years ago, right around mid-October, right around Halloween against Washington here at home, where, Mooney came an inch short of the touchdown. Yeah. So, this is kind of a familiar team to face in this spot for us, but I think we get the upper hand on them and come away with a W.
It's just something about Washington. The Bears just like kind of have their number. Everything that Washington is even good at, it never really works against the Bears for some reason. So I'm with you. I think that's a W as well on the road in October. I don't believe in Jaden Daniels. I don't even think he's going to be playing at that point. I think he's going to be hurt by then.
Wow. So, but then in week 9, I do have him losing to the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are very underrated. I think they're a better team than a lot of people think they are. Yeah. Especially now, they got Marvin Harrison Jr. too, right? So I think there's weapons there for Kyler. I think Kyler does have a little bit of a bounce back season, and they're going to be a tougher opponent than most people think.
I agree. I think they're sneaky good. They're sneaky talented. Coaching is really, really good. They had no business even winning as many games as they did last year, and then they've gotten better too. So, I got you. I got a L there as well. So
we'll go ahead start off.
My next 2, man, you're going to make me do Green Bay. All right, 10. I think it's an easy victory. I think at this point, New England is almost on purpose tanking at this point. I think they're fire sailing. Every good player on their team is a young prospect. Christian Gonzalez, Drake May. I think that's all I can name. Christian Barmore, right? Like it's all young guys that won't make the make or break difference. And without Bill Belichick there, I can't consistently say that they are going to be a really well-coached team and you're going to play a really well-coached team. They might be, for all we know, but I don't think so. So I think that's a victory there. I think that puts me at 5 victories or 6?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That puts us at 6.
But I have an L here. Okay. And I kind of, one of the reasons is I'm biased. I've always liked New England as like my second team. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I just don't see why like a situation like what happened with Houston last year can't happen in New England. Yes, you have a new coach, but it's not a nobody. You know what I mean? It's a guy who's been waiting for this opportunity, preparing. I'm pretty high on Drake May. I think he does have some development that he needs to go through. I think he may be playing well at this point in the season, though. So just because I can't, I'm not going to sit here and predict 13 wins. Yeah. I got to find these losses somewhere.
And mine are coming.
This is one of my losses. So go ahead.
Green Bay at home. Until Green Bay is defeated, I don't believe that we defeat them. So I got Green Bay at home coming in. Big brothering you, 27-13, doing everything right. We're doing everything wrong, and it just looks and rips your heart out and stuff. This is the PTSD talking again, but I got the L.
I need to beat them.
All right.
We got to beat them. This is one of the things for me that's probably one of the most important parts of the season. Preach change all you want. I want to change. I want to beat them. I got a W. I'm not going any other way.
I can live with beating them next year. I can live with it.
I guess, sure. Maybe I'm not as patient as you are. I need this to happen. I'm not. I got a W.
At least once, right? Yeah.
I really think we have to. It makes a damn statement.
I hate him.
I do. I can't. I'm not going to do it. So you may be the logical one in this, which usually pans out to be the correct choice. I'm going to be the super emotional one in this and just be stubborn and say, no, fuck Green Bay. We're taking the first win against them.
God,
Week 12.
I hope so.
Week 12. I think we play the Vikings well.
Yep.
All the time. And I think we also take away a W there. That team is, they had 4 draft picks this year. One of them passed away, unfortunately. The other one, their top draft pick, J.J. McCarthy, is now out. Jordan Addison is out. I don't know what's going on. I mean, Justin Jefferson's going to have like 2,500 yards, right? Like for anything good to happen there. I think this is also another W on the schedule. Yeah. What do you? Yeah, did you agree?
Yeah, I just don't think. I think Minnesota's going to be so much better than everybody thinks they are. I think they're with what any other team faced this, what Minnesota's facing right now. I think they'd predict I don't know, 3 wins all season, 4 wins. I think you'd just be wrapping up the season, right? JJ's out, Addison's are out. They still have Justin Jefferson. They still have Aaron Jones too. So I think Aaron Jones is going to do really well in that stadium and that turf and everything. I think Aaron Jones has always just been a pain in my ass too. And then Brian Flores is still doing that defense, man. And that defense looks freaking good, man. So I think they also got Dallas Turner. They did get Dallas Turner. I think that defense is going to be sneaky good. I think they're still going to win 6 or 7 games. I just don't know if Sam Darnold, I don't even know who their 3rd string quarterback is at this point because I don't know who J.J. McCarthy's backup was. So I think we win, not by a lot. I think it's closer than we think. It's going to be one of those rock fights, but I think that's a win too. And I'm going to give it to them at home.
Week 13, I think the Lions still have their window open. Ben Johnson's sticking around there. That's, I think, the biggest factor that they're going to have towards them being a successful team this year. I do feel they fall off the face of the earth at some point. I do feel, or at least they come back down to earth, maybe not fall off the face of the earth, because they're a talented team. You know what I mean? But I'm just not a big believer in Jared Goff. I know we always talk about those rah-rah mentality coaches and how that's great if you're winning, but if you start out slow and you're losing, that, players only buy into that for so long. And Dan Campbell, I mean, there's being aggressive and there's stubborn and reckless. I feel he errs more on the stubborn and reckless side. But I do think this team is still coasting this year. I think they hand us a loss on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a Thanksgiving game. I was so happy because I was going through this schedule a little bit earlier, and I'm hosting Thanksgiving this year, and I can't fucking wait to just eat turkey at my own house and just no one talk to me for 4 hours. I would love to see a win. And for some reason, the Bears, even looking back on it, man, the last 2 years, the Lions are 13-win teams every year. The Bears somehow, I think they're 3-1 in the last 2 years against them, if not 4-0.
We play them really well too, even in the losses.
Yeah,
I mean, we had that 28-point comeback last year, and then there was we went 1-1 with them. I think the year before, but in that one loss, I think Fields carved them up for 100 rushing yards in the first quarter alone.
Yeah, they play them really well. So, but either way, I agree with you though. Thanksgiving at home in Detroit. I think we take this L. We have to. I mean, that's just lined up for Detroit to just have a great Thursday NFL Thanksgiving.
Go ahead with the next two then. Start it off with week.
So here you were asking me where I was being a little too optimistic. Here's where my losses come in, man. So this is on the road in Detroit. That's an L. I got San Francisco. We're on the road in December in San Fran, probably going to be raining and stuff like that. San Fran's hitting its groove. Week 14, they're still fighting for like a first or second spot. That's like when San Fran's like the deadliest, man. At the end of the season, they kind of chill out because they're already locked up usually in the last like 5 years. And then they start kind of slow sometimes. San Fran does. Like they'll have like that 140-point shootout game, but then they kind of like have that weird lull. I think this is like San Fran's like regular season. I think Kyle Shanahan's on a fucking mission. I think Brock Purdy might end up being like a top 10 guy this year, even though I don't think he's that good, but I think he's going to just like be a top 10. I think we get the shit kicked out of us again. Right here.
I couldn't agree more. I got this as probably the biggest, most obvious L on the entire schedule. I mean, that's a team that needs to win a Super Bowl in order to make everything worth it. I mean, they're tough, man. They're probably.
Is there a hungrier team in the NFL this year?
So. They're probably best roster in the NFC. I mean, we beat them. That's going to be saying something, but I just don't see it happening. So, L as well. What do you think week 15?
So I had us beating Minnesota early on at home. I think you go into Minnesota and you lose here. I think this is like a sneaky little trap game. I think you're like skidding a little bit. You're 0-2 last 2 games and you're like, man, we got to get out of this. This is where like Bears fans kind of start freaking the fuck out. I think this is that like December, New Year's time where we always tend to freak out and then we make it close for the end of the season. So I think this is where you get your third loss in a row. I think also you're like, I think it happens for Matt Eberflus 3 wins this year. I don't think the 3 losses happen back to back early on in the season. It gives you a little bit of hope, but this is that like we're past the point of firing the guy. We're past the point of like making any wholesale changes with this team. You just got to ride out a little skid. There's going to be a skid here somewhere. There's going to be a little bit of a rookie slump. And I think it's right here. It's these 3 games. You're 0-3.
And see, that's the difference, I think, between your prediction and my prediction this year. Is I don't have them at any point losing 3 in a row. But I get it. Yes. And yes, this is their third loss prediction from you. I think we go in there. And we win this one. I think we're 2-0 against the Vikings this year. Like I said, I think they're the worst team in this division, and I see very little reason why we shouldn't be able to beat them both times. And so, that's the way I'm going. However, when we get into week 16, I know we played the Lions well. Like I said, we went 1-on-1 with them 2 years in a row. I think this year they have our number. And I think week 16, right before Christmas, and then look, it's a short week there too. But I think week 16, the Lions get another win against us, and we are 2-0 against the Vikings, but 0-2 against the Lions this year. What do you think?
Okay. I got the victory here for a few like logical reasons more than anything. It's like right before Christmas. It's December 22nd at that point. The Lions, when you look at their late season stuff, they usually tend to get tired and they really kind of slump off towards the end of the season. Also, Jared Goff in the snow in the middle of December in Chicago with Christmas right around the corner, all that stuff. I think that is a fucking shit pumping of the Lions. I think we beat the shit out of the Lions on this one.
Interesting. Because then I also feel like 4 days later, in a short week against Seattle, that I know these would be 2 home losses back to back, but I think Thursday Night Football that we lose to the Seattle Seahawks as well. I think that's going to be a really bad week for the Chicago Bears. I don't know. Like I said, just in order for me to get to my prediction total, this has to be a loss. But I think this might be the one flip game. That like if they win, then it's going to be 1 win better than my prediction. You know what I mean? Because like if there's any real variable here or any real good chance to just kind of pull away a sneaky win, I think you mentioned week 4 we differed. I think this is the other one where there's a good chance here. I just for some reason I don't think it's going to happen. I think we lose to the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks are way underrated this year. I think they're super solid. And I got the loss here too, but I do have them winning against Detroit. I think they like put their heart and soul into Detroit and they shit pump them. And then there's just like that natural calm down. You're so hyped up for Detroit. I don't think you can put 2 games back to back together like that. However, the Bears have been kind of sneaky with that stuff lately. And then they love those like mini buys and stuff. So, but I do have them losing to Seattle here, like you said. Christmas Day, I think that is right, or the day after Christmas, Black Friday.
Day after, yes.
Black Friday game.
No,
Cool.
Black
No,
Friday is Thanksgiving, man. No,
Yeah.
that's the day after Christmas.
Oh yeah, what am I talking about? Yeah, 12/26.
So,
Right. Okay.
and then, like I said, it's important to me.
You don't have us sweeping the Packers.
I do, damn you. Don't
Oh,
tell
you're
me. Don't tell
fucking-
me how to predict my insanity.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting to my season win total here, and we are going 0-2 against the damn Lions, and 2-0 against the Packers. Now, what's more realistic is we go 1-1 with both those teams.
Yeah.
But for me, it's huge. I don't want to be 500 in this damn division. We're 4-2 in the division. We're sweeping the damn Packers. This year, I want it.
All right. I mean, that's fine.
W.
I do have them going 500 in the division, mainly because I think 500 would be a great season in the division this year with how good this division is. And I think at this point, the Packers are resting.
Real quick, Agent 9, like, I'm not telling you it's logical or it makes sense.
He's acknowledging his stupidity here.
I know what you're saying. I'm being crazy here. I don't care.
I'll be logical with you. This is where Jordan Love is going to be resting because the Packers have locked up like the second seed by now. And so we're going to go in there trying as hard as we can for a wild card game after a long like mini bye because we're going to play 12-26 and then 1-5. It's like 11 days later. So that's where I think we do beat the Packers in Green Bay, but it's going to be like a big brother head pat. Like, oh, that's cute. Like we were resting. We don't really give a shit. This puts us at 14-3 and you guys just sneak into the wild card. But this is where I got it, where it's fucking condescending bullshit. We go in, we're the 1-6 matchup or whatever, and we fucking beat them. And we knock them out of the playoffs this year.
You know,
that's where I'll go crazy with you. You want to go full crazy? I'll go full
funny
crazy
because
with you.
like 2 months ago, we had a conversation. I called you on my way home from work. And I think I pitched that scenario. I was like, wouldn't it be good if we just like end of the year, just like last year, or last week against the Packers, playing for that playoff spot. And this time we shut them out.
Mm-hmm.
And you were just like, yeah. And you're like, but like, I'm not so petty that I want the revenge. I'd rather be 12-4 and not give a fuck about that game.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, you take such a higher road than I do. Because I want that damn revenge. You know,
the best revenge to me would be if like the Packers went like 7-10 this year, missed everything, went fourth in the division, and the Bears were just like the first seed. I would just be like, suck my dick.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I guess that would feel better.
But this is my logical brain is they're going to be so fucking good. They're probably going to have like 13 wins by now. They're going to be like, well, San Fran's have locked in the first seed. We can't really drop down out of 2. So let's just rest and then let the Bears have this one. And it'll be like a adorable little like, oh, you tried, you know, Bart Simpson meme shit. And then this will be us like sneaking into the playoffs as like a wild card against the Packers. But
I mean, maybe. So
it won't feel good. It'll happen.
So David, this is exactly why I love doing shows with you, or not even doing shows, just why I love having a conversation with you. Because before we were doing this, we were just having the same exact conversation on the phone regardless.
Yeah.
We're both at 9 wins.
No way.
We're both at 9 wins.
Yeah.
And like I said, Vegas has this team at 8.5. And we had talked about this scenario, I think a show or two ago, like, is 9 wins still a success? And I think my answer was it's all going to determine on how we get there. Yeah. And like it's really more of an eye test thing. Like, is it 9 wins with Caleb being hurt? You know what I mean? Because like I don't know if I feel great if Caleb's hurt, like, or like, you know, 9 wins and you miss the playoffs, but there's clear steps forward in a lot of areas, or like are these losses, you know, fourth quarter defensive blowouts like we've seen in the past? Like, do these crazy bad scenarios repeat again? And that's how we wind up in this situation. But damn it, me and you both have them at 9 wins this year.
In totally different ways, which is funny.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Which either way, I think that kind of gives us the opportunity to say, like, this team is just good enough at this point to be like a 9-win team, which is good. We should feel probably pretty good about that. Like a 9-10 win season. And me being a little bit more critical of a few of those games, like we probably should sweep Minnesota this week or this season.
Well,
Like,
that's
a
why I
10-win
have to
season right there.
sweep the Packers, because it's like if I'm going to be happy about a 9-win season, there's certain things I want to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's one of them, and that's why I kind of had that in there, because for me, there's certain little things that are just important, and it goes more beyond just wins and losses and stats and numbers and this and that.
Yeah.
I think eye test has a huge role in this year.
I think
And
that's like honestly the biggest part.
yeah.
Eye test, because I'll save my 12-win prediction season thing for like next year when we've had 10 more draft picks added to this team, right? Like when you have 10 draft picks next year, 2 second rounders and a first. I could imagine it, but that would suck.
It would suck. It would be fun though, but it would suck. It'd be fun if we got the upper hand at the end of the day.
Yeah, I couldn't handle like
I wish
Jordan
the
Love
worst
always
for that. I don't care.
Yeah, dude. I hope like Jordan Love like gets his shin bashed in with a pipe like fucking carry whatever back in the 90s.
So Brewhall, that's what I'm saying. Like in my opinion, if they sneak out that Seattle win, they go 10-7.
Yeah.
So
same
like,
with me. If
that's what I was saying. There's a
Vikings,
game in there that maybe we're a little off about, and they could just do one win better. I don't see them winning 11, 12 games though. I don't know.
And the other part is like, I mean, a lot of things can happen from now until then. If we had Matthew Judon on this team, I'd probably have him at 10 or 11 teams right now, or wins right now.
Trade by the trade deadline.
If you get, the Bengals are like your huge like focal point right now. Like if they suck early, you're gonna get Trey Hendrickson. I can almost guarantee that. If the
Saints keep coming out.
I don't. There's no way you're getting Max.
Yeah,
Crosby.
I don't think
No.
he's huge.
Oh, the other part is like I don't know if you're familiar with this, but the biggest like underneath the rumor trade right now is CeeDee Lamb to the Packers. So watch out.
What? No, I didn't. But you know what? I don't know. I know we're going on an hour 30 here. I don't know how much time you have to invest.
We'll wrap up in a few.
Okay, but like I'm down to talk about Micah Parsons if you are. Because
See, the only reason I like the Micah Parsons conversation, it's too nuanced because neither of us are going to reach a yay or a nay on this. I think it's one of those things where like maybe we save that for a different time because right now Micah we could have a half an hour conversation about Micah Parsons right now, and we will not change any minds really because we could totally see it both ways. I want to be on the record first, and I just want to keep pushing this. Cameron fucking Jordan, man. The Saints are going to suck so bad this year. I don't see how people think the Saints are even like – I think the Saints are probably like right next to the Panthers in terms of bad. And I think the Saints are going to suck early. They're going to go like 2-4. And you can get Cameron Jordan for like a 4th-round pick, dude.
That would be –
I think that solidifies you so hard. Like that makes you so – because he could slide inside. He could go back outside. It's like getting like a DeMarcus Walker on crack. Like that's perfect for this team.
Right. I mean, he already seen right. DeMarcus Walker on more crack, I guess, because
more crack, extra crack.
I think as a character, if you ever listen to him, right? So,
but those are the pass rushers left in the market is my thing. And so, like what we were saying, like if we're being optimistic, like you get Cameron Jordan week 6, I predict 2 more wins. You get Trey Hendrickson, I predict 2 more wins.
And so, like, and I think people need to also realize too, like 9 wins for a rookie quarterback. Damn good season.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Damn good season.
I don't think anybody was complaining about CJ Stroud's rookie year.
No, right? So when it comes to rookies in the past, like statistically, one of the better years was Cam Newton. Cam Newton had over 4,000 passing yards. I think like 600-700 rushing yards. I mean, he had D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart, Greg Olsen. I think Jeremy Shockey was the backup. Steve Smith. That offense was damn good. They went 6-10.
I think Luke Kuechly was in his prime at that point.
Yeah. They went 6-10.
Yeah.
Now the best was yet to come. They had a Super Bowl appearance
a year later, 2 years later.
A year later. And I think Greg Olsen was on ESPN and with Waddle and Sylvia and said, like, yeah, we went 6-10, but we knew we were in 6 more games.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like there was only a couple real losses. The other ones were toss-ups. And that's what I'm saying. I test how this all goes down. As long as these losses aren't bad blowouts, if we're in games, the losses are going to happen, but it'd be real nice to have competitive games.
I don't want to get
earn that damn W. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this season I just don't want to get shit pumped by the Chargers. Like, you know what I mean? Like last year, those are those games where you're just like, dude, we are nowhere close. You know?
Yeah, he just might, Bruja. He just might. We'll see. Like I said, defensive ends don't have a great history of being late round draft picks and working out. I mean, there's a few examples. Jared Allen was undrafted, and he obviously had a great career. However,
Max Crosby.
Max Crosby's a 4th round pick, right?
That's who you're comparing. Awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, he's like the only 4th round pick.
Yeah, I know.
In the NFL right now that's playing at a high level. So that's what I mean. That's a huge uphill battle. But it's weird because at defensive end spot, there's a huge opportunity here. And it's like, I'm almost just shocked that like DeMarcus Walker hasn't taken advantage of it. Dominique Robinson hasn't taken advantage of it. Guys, there's something here for that position to be able to eat. And hopefully Austin Booker will take advantage of it. That's why I said that was my bold prediction.
A lot of those things are going to change too, man. Like you get Javon Dexter get double teamed, then Montez gets double teamed. That's where Austin Booker does feed. So like Austin Booker is also dependent a lot on who's around him. Like Andrew Billings is, he's going to be there. He's the consistent guy there, but like he's a run stuffer and double team taker and all that stuff. But like your Austin Booker is not going to single-handedly come in here as a 4th round pick and just be like, Pro Bowl rookie. Oh my God. Like it's going to depend on a lot. So you have to really hope that, Montez and everybody's look good. He definitely looks good. Daniel Hardy looks better. You know what I mean? So like nobody's bumping the Daniel Hardy train necessarily being like Daniel Hardy with 10. He's an exciting rookie and it's fun to think about, but I have heard that and seen that as well. It's just a lot to put on a rookie. Even Paulie's bold prediction is like 8 sacks because I like the way he looks too. Paulie loves the way he looks. We're not trying to like dismiss this anyway, but just like that's not. You'd still get Trey Hendrickson. That's why we were
right. Oh, for sure.
We were about to get Matthew Judon. We were literally about to get him. Atlanta swooped him out.
And so I know we're coming up on our time here. We're gonna end this soon. Can I get a little petty? I like to get a little petty sometimes. Yeah. Because I always have to deal with this during the worst years. Like, so do the McCaskies still need to sell? I always go back to this, and I was like, no, it's GM down, damn it. You just get the right GM, you get the right coach, you get the right pieces, things can be fine. Like, is Virginia McCaskey still being put on a cross here and crucified at midfield? Because like I said, I'm going to be a little petty just because I had to get this out there because I deal with
the blood sacrifice works. I'd sacrifice her.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd still do it too if it worked, right? But I mean, just letting that out there because it's like, man, I know it's hard to stick up for these guys. They don't deserve it. Like they really don't, especially with what we've gone through as Bears fans. But I kept saying like, well, look at Jim Irsay. He wasn't bad when they had Peyton Manning and Bill Polian, right? So like, yeah, I do feel like I want to get that out there. And I also wanted to say that because it's like, I also feel like we have that now. Ryan Poles is probably my favorite GM on the Bears of all time. Dude, he might be my favorite GM in the NFL. I love what this guy's doing. And finally, we have some competence in there that's able to jump over that hurdle, jump over that obstacle that is the McCaskies. I'm not saying they do anything that benefits this team. But I've always said that that's one thing that doesn't have to change in order for this team to have success. I think we're entering an era now where we're going to see some damn good Bears football, and we're going to have some success.
You're being really polite because it almost feels like you're directly talking to me because you're kind of reacting to what I always say. You're like kind of saying, you're being like petty, but like you're being petty at me, which is fair.
Dude, like just to let everybody know.
Yeah.
Just to let everybody know. You at the beginning of last year, you were like Lamar Jackson for Justin Fields straight up. And I was like, no. And at the end of last year, you're like, so how about Lamar for Justin, huh? Okay. Yeah.
No. I mean,
right, I'll take it.
Like another example was like we love doing that shit where we're like, we love saying we're wrong because we're, I was like dead ass wrong on Montez Sweat. I hated that trade. So fuck that. Like I'm happy to admit I'm wrong when it like goes really well for us. So yes and no. I'm gonna tentatively say you're right, only because I've even admitted to this. Like when we had Aldo on, and I was like, man, there is a little bit of that like 2016 Cubs brewing here. You know what I mean? Like that 26 Cubs season where everything just felt different. And it's just like, even like I listen to CHGO podcasts and they're just like talking about how, the front office treats their fans differently at training camp, where they would like normally cancel tickets due to rain and then just be like, sorry, we can't control God. And then this time they were like, not only are your tickets still valid
company after a tree falls on your car, but
right. And then like this year, the one of the practices got rained out. So like they messaged everybody who had a ticket and said that ticket is now valid for any of the next 2 training camp days or something like that. Like that's like a culture change thing. And that's,
I think they said go to both.
Yeah. They said you could go to both. That's what I'm saying. Like that's a culture change thing. I think that's like, those are hard to do and they take a really long time. So I'm still a little bit in that camp, but even like the training camp, like the Hard Knocks videos where, Kevin Warren comes in and just goes like, great fucking job. Good contract for DJ. You didn't see anyone there. No George, no Virginia fucking on like getting rolled in being like, let me look at these papers. Like these numbers don't make any sense. Like that's what I feel like would have happened like 4 years ago though. So there is some sort of culture change though. Cause I don't know, man. Like I feel like
you think there's a trust?
I think it's, you know what? We say this a lot. Sometimes why don't the Chiefs have Paxton Lynch?
Right. Sometimes you get saved from yourself.
Dumb fucking luck. And I forget who the GM candidates were. I think so too, Agent 9. I think that's finally, if that's what took them 30 fucking years to learn, then I agree. Maybe they just learned that they need to fuck off and let people do their job.
I think that might be a big part of it too. I think they are focused. I mean, they're so money oriented.
Yeah.
I think that whole ordeal has taken up a lot more of their time.
Sometimes I can't believe that they give out these contracts, like even like Julius Peppers or DJ Moore, because I'm like, I'm shocked that they're that liquid. Because if you know anything about how like NFL contracts work, like the Bengals struggled to pay Joe Burrow because they couldn't put enough money in escrow for over a year. So like, because in the NFL, to pay a player, like a franchise, so the way it works is like to say like you give Tyreek Hill $100 million guaranteed, you need to put that $100 million in escrow for over a year, liquid. It has to just be there sitting and whatever. The Bengals struggle to find enough money to give to Joe Burrow.
You might spend it on Muhammad Ali's championship belt, but I had to have right. So like, you got to save these owners. Yeah, this is a business. Yeah. I hear you.
So I'm shocked that the McCaskies have enough money to put into escrow to pay DJ Moore or like the next contract or Montez Sweat or something like that. Excuse me.
Bless you.
And thank you. And but I mean, I think it's dumb luck. The distraction of the stadium is definitely part of it. And yeah, I don't know. I think part of it's just dumb luck and also just like being hands off. Like a lot of it's all those things together. And hopefully it just stays this way and it keeps growing this way because it's working. But I could easily just see like, and then George just weaseling in.
I was gonna say, like, send it off on that note.
and George is just like 6-0, and he's like, "I did this. Look at me."
Jerry Jones style, yeah.
Yeah. For the record, I'm just curious. You're a little bit more emotional. Where do you want the next stadium to be?
Oh, Arlington Heights.
Okay, thank God.
Hands down, because I've gone to the games.
Yeah, it's awful.
A lot of them.
Awful.
And it's not. Listen, it's a great experience. I'll go every single time I can. The experience on the couch isn't bad either. Like if I don't have to go and walk a mile underneath McCormick Place and sit there and freeze my ass off in an old ass stadium with, come on, it takes
yourself a Royal Crown Cola.
Hours to get. I love the RC. That should be the same in Arlington.
All right, you're
with RC Cola. All right, I'm fine with that. But yeah, it's just getting home, taking 2-3 hours just to get home.
Have a parking lot or a field that's actually not sewn back together after Metallica.
Walking through the field on preseason and just being like,
go back, even in your Caleb Williams highlight. Dude, the bad throw where he's slipping, it's because his foot got stuck in a seam.
Yeah, and the Park District doesn't care.
Why would they? Metallica.
They got paid. Yeah. Well, fuck yeah. I mean, Metallica, hell yeah. But
I mean, yeah, but
not before my Bears game, I guess. Like,
No.
I saw somebody, I don't know if it was on Facebook or on Twitter, and they're like, don't make me hate Metallica. Like,
Yeah.
come on. You know what I mean? So, yeah, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you so
that's a
much
good
for
place to
joining
sign
us.
off.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us once again. Tyson Bagent on that podcast, the descriptions below, and we can't wait for him to be showing our Bearski film video. And big shout out to them for being able to do that. Savant, and yeah, it bears down for Thursday night. Can't wait to see his backups go out there and play. And yeah, we'll be back on a little bit more regularly now since the season's right around the corner. We're thinking about doing some fantasy football content pretty regularly too. So there might be some changes at Bearski Film coming forward, but we appreciate everybody tuning in. We appreciate the growth. Man, we're just shy of 5,000 too, which to us is unbelievable. I mean, when we talked about starting this thing and we're like where it could go and whatnot, I think this was like where we capped out, and it just still feels like we're just getting started here. So yeah, thank you to everybody. Love you all. Bear down.
Thank you.
Let's see some good football this year, huh?
That's right.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.